Answer should be 9. Green squared is -1 squared, and then plus yellow times red, that's a -6, and then -3. So that should be 1 minus 12 minus 3, which is -11 minus 3, -14. Answer is 14. Answer should be -8. Answer should be a -2. Pick a number from 1 to 5. Pick a number from 1 to 5. Alright, time for the homework check. Whoa. There we go. No papers to pass out. The objective today is the same thing as it's been for the last 4 days. There's a test tomorrow. So we're going to review for the test. And here's a practice problem. We'll start right off with it. Bring up the first step. Just show it to me. Step 1 should be x squared plus 3x equals 70. Now bring up the next step. The next step is x squared plus 3x plus 2.25, and add 2.25 to the right side. Alright, bring up the next step. You should have the quantity squared of x plus 1.5 and set that equal to 72.25. Now bring up the next step. The next step is the square root of both sides, which leaves you with x plus 1.5. I put parentheses in there when I did not have to. I can't go back and erase it. And then plus or minus 8.5. Now bring up the final solution, the two answers. To solve this, you have to do x plus 1.5 equals 8.5, and then x plus 1.5 equals a negative 8.5. So here it's x equals 8.5 minus 1.5. That equals 7. And then this one is x equals negative 8.5 minus 1.5, which is a negative 10. 7 and negative 10. Here's a bonus problem. It could be anything. This should be negative x equals negative 4 plus 3. You have to move this over. And that becomes a negative 1, but since you have this, you have to divide negative 1 by this negative 1. Answer is positive 1. Here's another practice problem. Walk by and show me this. Give me the first step. Step 1 should be x squared minus 5x equals a positive 66. Now bring up the next step. Half of 5 is 2.5, but you have to square that to get 6.25 and add that to both sides. Now bring up the next step. The next step should be x squared, not x squared. The next step should be the quantity squared of x minus 2.5. This is half of the middle term, plus you must use the sign in the middle here. And then add these two together to get 72.25. Now bring up the next step. You should have x minus 2.5 equals plus or minus 8.5. Now bring up the final solution, two numbers. Final answer is 11, negative 6. Here's the bonus problem. If everybody gets this right, it's 10 million. This is negative x equals a negative 2, but this is positive 5 here. You move it over and make it minus 5. That gives you a negative 7, but because of this, we must divide negative 7 by this negative 1. So the answer is 7. Here's another practice problem. Bring up the first step. Step 1 is x squared plus 15x equals a negative 54. Bring up the next step. The next step is x squared plus 15x plus 56.25, and add that to the right side as well. Now bring up the next step. You should have the quantity squared of x plus 7.5 equals 2.25. Now bring up the next step. The next step should be x plus 7.5 equals plus or minus 1.5. Now bring up the final answer. Well, when you do x plus 7.5 equals 1.5 and you move the 7.5 to the right, make it minus 7.5, that should give you a negative 6. And then x plus 7.5 equals a negative 1.5. You subtract 7.5 again. This time it should give you a negative 9. Here's another bonus. If everybody gets this right, it is 10 million. Alright, this should be negative x equals 3 plus 2. And that's a 5 on the right, but you have to divide it by negative 1 to get a negative 5. Here's another practice problem. This one has an even number in the middle term, so this should be easy. Bring up the first step. Answer is x squared minus 6x equals 72 for the first step. Now bring up the next one. You should have x squared minus 6x plus 9. Half of 6 is 3. Square it to get 9. And add 9 to both sides. Bring up the next step. You should have the quantity squared of x minus 3 and set all of that equal to 81. Bring up the next step. You should have x minus 3 equals plus or minus 9. Now bring up the final answer. Well, it should be x minus 3 equals 9 and x minus 3 equals a negative 9. So that's x equals 9 plus 3. X equals negative 9 plus 3. This is positive 12, and this will be negative 6. Again, $10 million if everybody gets this one right. This should be x equals negative 2 plus 5, which is going to give us a 3. There's nothing out here to divide by. There's no negative 1, no negative sign. For this practice problem, just bring up the final answer. Final answer is negative 9, negative 4.